Hey guys,
Hey,
welcome to yet another episode of Keep It
lit.
Yes. So last week we dealt with a very exciting topic of judgment. And this week we are talking about how much is too much in the body of Christ. You know, in terms of dressing, in terms of how we relate, I guess, with the opposite sex for us females and for males with females, right?
I have to agree as well. One of the major aspects between the two is body language.
Yeah.
If I'm a confident person and I approach a person of the opposite sex,
Right.
my confidence will come out with the way I talk to them,
Exactly.
my gestures towards them. But if I'm trying to be flirty, it will show.
Right.
I'll either maybe, hold the shoulder,
Right.
something like that. 'Cause there's a distinction between, being flirty and being body language.
Right.
Is like a big thing that distinguishes the two.
Right.
And the way you speak to them, your gestures,
Yeah.
you'll be a little bit giddy, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But when you're confident, you just go straight to what you want, basically.
Now that you're saying it, oh my God, taking me back to a situation. um, oh my God. Yes, when is too much? Too much. I remember this one time I came to church and this guy said hi to me. Oh my God, the way he said it. Like I literally felt violated.
Oh my gosh.
That was too much, guys. Like if you like someone in church, a simple hi will do.
You know what's funny though? I would like to beg to differ. Yes, with Sipiwe. Well, with you, Sipiwe. You know why? Because I am what they call a yellow in personality, and I'm very expressive. I literally tap everyone, and I am looking at you in your eyes, and I know that can easily be mistaken for flirting, and it
Exactly.
has.
Yes.
So I guess I only disagree to the point that I'm not always flirting. In fact, 99% of the time I am not flirting. I'm just being myself. You know what I mean? But I guess with like the world's definition of flirting, I've had to adjust and say, "Oh, how are you with my hand in the, and not lest lest I tap you." And sometimes I literally have to draw back my confidence because I realize this person is not used to this type of approach, and I'm afraid they'll think more of it. And you know what? The truth is 99% of the time, people have thought I was flirting. So I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Guys, I had this thing, right? Like, for a long time, I would always talk with, like, me holding my chest. But this is me! And a lot of girls just said, oh, you're that guy. You're always touching your chest and you talk to us. And, I don't know, for them, they just always thought that I was trying to flirt or something. And for me, it was just always, that was always my thing.
Yeah.
I've always spoken with my hands and I would always, like, be like, yo, it's going good. It's really good. But then people always feel like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Like, are you flirting with me? That type of thing. So there's always this this thin line between being confident and flirting. For me, this is where I'm just like confident. I'm just like, yo, what's up?
On your
And when are
chest.
you
On your chest, I know, like.
Say it with your chest. Yeah.
Chest, oh my God.
So like for me, it's always been a thing.
Right.
But then, yes, then there's been times when I've just been like, I've gone over the edge.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? I'm confident and I really bring it. And I'm trying to play games, play word games, mind games, and things like that. And well, like you said, I partially also disagree with viewing. Like it's not always like, hey,
We are touchy-feely people, guys.
Yeah. So I think also it depends on the type of person.
Right.
'Cause we're all
Yes.
different.
Exactly.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
we all have different personalities, different characters. Some people are just like they just love to hug people all the time. Like, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And you're just like,
Leanne.
well, I'm not
Who said that?
but yeah.
Little birdie.
But you have like different people. So like sometimes we can mistake one thing to be something else and get caught up in the mix of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I guess the question is, if you like someone for instance, in church, how then do you approach them, both on a female perspective and a male perspective, without scaring them away?
Exactly, and I feel like I would like to say it's easier, I think, for men to flirt than women, because like with women in church, you don't want to come off like, yeah, that girl.
Exactly.
Put yourself out there, and then if you're like me, who's not overly bubbly and everything like that, I'm not just gonna come up to you and say, hey, I like you. I don't want to be rejected, and I don't want you to think I'm forward. So what's the best approach for female in church to make it kind of known that they're interested in someone? Like, how do we go about it? Because basically you don't want to, when is too much, exactly. Because at the end of the day, you want to know that there's chemistry between you and that person, but how can you do it playfully without being
And
overly
respectfully as well.
yes.
I think it starts from friendship. They
Exactly.
need to know who we are.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to know who you are. And obviously, it wouldn't hurt if you approach a person and greet them.
Yes.
You know, today you go, hi, how are you? You know, after church, hey. You know, you maybe you come up with a little topic, hey, the sermon was fire. You know?
Was lit.
That's the starting point.
Yeah.
And always, I guess, we've spoken about the thin line between being confident and being flirty.
Right.
But I think maybe the way you talk to the person, a very kind, soft manner, the person will be like, who is that? You know? Like the way
Yeah.
you approach them, like Alicia said, not trying to come out like, hey, you know, bad. But kind of, I think the launching pad is friendship, you know,
Right.
and conversation, and this person will start to think, okay, I think this girl is, you know,
Right.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Something Superior said just made me laugh so much, because I was watching a video this morning on YouTube, and this girl just had the most hilarious pickup lines for Christians. So she goes, I'm no Joseph, but would you help me interpret the dreams I've been having about you? And then she goes, your name must be Faith, because you're definitely things that I've hoped for.
My goodness.
Yeah. And she spoke, when you spoke about the whole how was service today, she mentioned, you know, approaching someone and be like, oh my God, how was service today? So I have this prayer group on WhatsApp. Would you like to give me your number so I can add you to the group?
I think I'm going to use that.
I absolutely love those.
But I just absorbed everything.
But tell us, like, now, yeah, because you're the only male.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And
When is too much,
technically
too
and
much.
biblically, you're the one to look for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whoop.
I think it starts with chemistry first. Sometimes you see a person and like you instantly, oh my gosh, like everything in you, like just.
Oh wow.
No, like you talk, bro. You talk. Your body responds, like it just responds, like whether it's your heart, your thoughts, everything. Like,
Yeah.
like, cause that's your nature. You know.
Yeah.
You're human,
Right, right.
So like sometimes you see someone, she's hot, right? And you're just like, whoa, what's going on? I mean, I'll be honest. I've met like people who are like really attractive, but then the conversation, like
Doesn't
just the
flow.
high, just like shuts everything down, and
Sour.
you're like, oh my gosh, no, this will not work, you know. So it all starts with the chemistry,
Right.
and then the conversation is what really takes you to the next level.
Right.
For me, that's what I believe works for me, and I believe every other male. Like if you're looking for something stable, something serious, it all starts with chemistry. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm attracted to this person. It might be the way they look. Sometimes it might be the conversation.
Right.
I've met people who are not the most attractive in the world, like beauty and everything, but because of the way they've spoken, I'm just like, wow, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So it starts with chemistry. It
Right.
could be the looks, the conversation, and then everything else then begins to, you know, take off after that. And then, well, it depends now on what you want, you know, and what, like for me, I'll be honest, like I'm Christian, right?
Right.
And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, she's really nice. And then your mind starts to drift away and you're like, come back, you old fool. Come back. Come back. You know, and that's where self-control comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you want to have conversations that are suggestive because your body's just like, ugh, like you want it. But then you realize that, like, this won't work for me.
Want what?
You're interested in the person, right?
Okay.
And like sometimes even sexually. But then you have to, it all comes back to self-control.
Right.
And asking yourself, okay, if I do this, if I go down this road,
Right.
what's going to happen? You know, there's always an end result. It's not necessarily the act of flirting that is wrong. It's what it leads to.
Yeah.
Because it leads
Yes.
somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Because 1 minute it's like, hey, this is good. Like, I'm enjoying this conversation. But your mind just drifts elsewhere.
Right.
Next thing you know, it's things are happening in your mind that have not happened physically, but, you know, they've already gone down in your mind. And that's where, you know, the whole aspect of self-control works for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I could easily do anything wrong and get away with it, like no one would notice, no one would know.
Yeah.
I did this, I did that. But then God's always watching, right?
Exactly.
And most importantly, it's my relationship with Him that matters.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I always approach these things.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is a lot like a sermon I watched last week. Pastor Michael Todd was talking about intentional dating, and then he spoke about intentional friendship. So he said, you know, because we are flesh, it's so easy for things to go horribly wrong.
Exactly.
So you need to be intentional in every step
Yes.
of the way to make the right decisions. So he spoke about intentional friendship, where when you're getting to know a person, make sure you're never alone, like just the two of you.
Right.
Like, so you go out to eat, go to a public place. Never have that situation where you're cooking for him at home or he's cooking for you at his place. Never be alone, and always go in groups of people. You can still have your quiet moments, the two of you, but at least you're surrounded by
Yeah.
people and like-minded people as well. So. Yeah, it's good that she spoke about friendship. I think that's the
Exactly,
easiest
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And you talked about self-control. I feel like that's the easiest way to marry the two. Friendship
Yeah.
and self-control is you like being intentional about everything and not just letting your mind go, take you
Wander off,
places.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you brought up being intentional. And I like that you brought up self-control as well, because like Sipiwe said, you know, people interpret touching as a sign to flirting. They interpret our gestures basically. And for a person like me, and I guess in Donji here, you know, we have to be intentional in how we relate with the opposite sex, you know. And that's what I've learned now, because I can't give an excuse of, look, this is how I am. With a female, it's fine. I don't think they mind my hugs and my over giggly and touching, you know what I mean? However, with a male, if I know that's what gets him going, I can't literally be over hugging this person, and I give it as an excuse, because you know what that will lead to? Leading the person on. And then if they come at me and I'm like confused, yet I've really led this person on with, you know, my overly personality, I guess, you know. And I guess that's where you said self-control, because as Christians we have to be mindful of ourselves. We have to be very intentional with what we give out, you know. And this takes me into dress code. You know, are we intentional in how we dress for church or even outside of church? You know, are we leading people on by how we dress? As females, are we trying to suggest we are available by how we dress? You know, and as guys too, I guess that also goes.
I like that question because it's all married to confidence as
Right.
well. I think as a person, the way you dress kind of depicts, number one, who you are.
Right.
Number two, even what you feel as well.
Yeah.
And your confidence levels can also be seen by the way you present yourself.
Right.
You know, and in this world, presentation means a lot.
everything.
It's a message on its own.
Yeah.
So the way I present myself out there, not only in church, but wherever I am, will either show, there's something she's looking for.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Dress how you want to be addressed.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Our dress code can come out as either being a bit too desperate, you know?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
much.
Are you
Like,
selling?
Exactly. Are you selling? Like how, like you said in the beginning, how much is too much?
Right.
You know, if I wear a skirt, why is it way just above my knee that only, like my butt's literally hanging out
Yeah.
from, like what am I trying to put across
Right.
if I do that?
Yeah.
What is it I'm trying to put across if my cleavage is like way under my,
right,
like,
right.
yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a message in the way we dress as well. It's either sometimes we come out as being flirty,
Right.
like suggestive, where when somebody looks at us, their eyes just go directly to
Yeah.
what we're revealing.
Yeah.
But on the confident front is that you're still able to look good, feel good about yourself. And when somebody looks at you, they say, okay, Alicia
Wow.
is a serious woman.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, she's funny, and she's got style. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So I think when it comes to dress code, there's a lot that it says about a person.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So then how then would we encourage like us Christians to dress? Because obviously we still want to remain
Fashionable
trendy.
and trendy.
We're youthful. So there's so many trends that come out. So what's the best way to remain fashion forward while still being decent?
Right.
So what do we define as decency in today's world?
Honestly, I think it comes down to culture and where you live, because Zambia is very different. You know, what we would consider as decent would be different from what the U.S. would consider as different. Because even in the U.S., they have like these issues where, depending on where you live, like if you're on the West Coast, like you're in California, it's like really normal to move around in like really short, like bum shorts and things like that. You know, because that's normal to them, right? And then you go over to the South side. You know, the South is very different. Like they have like, church has like suits, like, you know, old school suits, big suits, everything. Everyone is in suits. That's church, you know.
Right.
And then you have like in California, you've got people who go to church and like they'll go to church in like
In shorts, yeah.
And it's okay for them. That's normal to them. So the cultures are different. You see that the cultures are different. So Zambia has like a whole different culture. So it comes down to what is decent here, you know. Where do we draw the line between this is acceptable in Zambian culture, Zambian tradition, and what is not acceptable? And like normally, like I know a lot of old school people will tell you, no, it needs to go above, you know, like below the knees and things like that, and then you should be like, oh no. Like your top should be like almost like a pole neck. You call it those are pole necks, right? I don't know. Yeah. Turtlenecks. You know, it'd be like a turtleneck level and whatever. But now we see like there's this whole change because of fashion and the things that have come, and things are a bit different.
Right.
But I still feel that people have gone to the extremes because everything they see on E is what they want to wear. But E is totally different. E is California, you know. E is Hollywood. And this is not Hollywood. This is Zambia, right? I think, so at the end of the day, it comes down to what is decent enough for you not to affect the next person. Like, especially the opposite sex. Because if his mind starts jumping all over the place, then there's something wrong, you know. So I'm not saying people should wear, like, everyone should wear long skirts or long dresses, but we should look good, but in a very respectable and decent way. Yeah.
Again, what is decent? What is the God culture? You know, we speak of Zambian culture, and the Zambian culture expects us to be, like for ladies, in chitenges or, you know, like he said, really long skirts or really high tops. What is the God culture? And I think you've both, ICP mentioned it earlier, and Indonji, you picked it up just now when you spoke about how it affects other people, but also what are you putting out for yourself? You
Yeah.
see, when we dress, we normally dress for ourselves. There's times we dress for other people, and that's fine. But you see, fashion has so many different things. And you pick out what you think is necessary, honestly, because not
Yeah.
everything is necessary.
It's true.
Everything is not that beneficial for us. But yet, we can still be trendy by wearing jeans that aren't that ripped. But also, it depends on where you're going. I'm sorry, you're not going to bring overly ripped denims to church. However, if you're at the beach, perhaps, I think it also, where are you going?
Yeah.
What message are you putting out? And we should be able to tell who you are by how you dress as well. Like Sipiwe said, it's easy to tell how a person feels that day. When I feel unwell, you can tell by how I dress that day. When I feel, but most of the times I also try to confuse it. Now that I understand that concept, when I'm unwell, I'll dress a certain way that makes me feel better. But also, what are you bringing out? Are you selling? And if you're selling, okay, what are you? It's easy to tell. It really is easy to tell. I don't think at this point in time we should be telling each other what to wear, because it really is unfair. It's unfair because as we become like Christ, different things fall off. We will not expect it at once. It will not happen at
Exactly.
once. I feel like my dress code has evolved over time. It's unfair to expect that to have happened in the beginning, but as I go on, I realize different things and I'm growing, and I see that some things I cannot wear and other things I can, or those things that I can't wear to A, I can wear to B. And not that I'm bringing double standards. I just know my place. Yeah.
I agree, actually. And the Bible is clear about how we should not lead others into sin.
Right.
So if my dressing is going to be so suggestive to a point where my neighbor is going to look at me, let's say a guy is going to look at me like, hot damn, what I can do there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if another girl looks at me and says, oh my gosh, then that's going to create sin, because now the girl who's looked at me is going to go and gossip with some other girls like, did you see what Sipiwe wore? Oh my, Shan. Instead of like approaching me as well. But then I think the more we grow as Christians, the more we read the word, meditate, and the word becomes a part of us. Your spirit, everything within you won't allow you to dress a certain way.
Right.
You know to say, okay, when I go swimming, I can wear this.
Right.
When I go to church, when I go for work, wherever I am,
Right.
you know the sort of what to wear that will not disturb the person next to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine somebody walks into church in a bikini, right? The whole church will stop. In fact, I think the pastor will be like, hold up. You know
What's
what I mean?
happening? Yeah.
Yes. But imagine if everybody goes swimming, right? You expect people to wear
It doesn't bother
costumes,
anyone. Right.
exactly. So we also need to know where to wear what.
Right.
But again, remember that as a Christian, despite you being in a certain place,
Right.
you know that you can't wear certain things because you're going to be suggestive. You're going to make people's minds, think and go to places where they're not supposed to go.
Right.
And we don't want that because we know that thoughts lead to sin. Yeah, so I would say as Christians, the more you grow, the more you mature, there are certain things that, like you said, will just fall away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. So, obviously, this has been a really awesome ride. But we would like to see what the Bible says about all of this, right? And we are going to read from Titus 2, 11 to 12. And it says, "For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age. The
Amen to
grace
that.
of God." Yes.
Amen.
That is pretty self-explanatory, and I love it because it shows us that we are not alone, that we don't have to figure things out on our own. The grace of God is sufficient enough to help us live such good lives, upright lives away from this world. And also it talks about the present time, which means that this very word is good for today, irrespective of the fashion trends, irrespective of what the world thinks, irrespective of what's going on today. This word is good for 2018. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. It's been a good one. And we just want to encourage, obviously, our viewers and our listeners to comment, because this topic is not necessarily one that no one should comment on. I feel like we should discuss.
Yeah.
Please leave your comments, and we are definitely going to respond to you. What do you think? What do you think is being confident? What do you think is being flirty? What do you think we should wear and we should not wear?
Yeah.
When is too much too much?
Yeah.
See you next time.